Hey, good morning, everyone. 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm. It's an update on the threat for severe weather later on today and into parts of tonight. We haven't had a lot of severe weather yet this spring, but over the weekend, a couple of storms got a little feisty. We had some possible storm damage up in Girard. We saw some pictures from there. We had a few spots that had a little bit of a pea-sized hail with those storms yesterday, but all in all, the spring has not been real active for severe weather just yet. We might have one of our better chances of getting severe weather later on today. Let's get right to the details. Yeah, things are quiet this morning. It's warm, it's humid. I'm recording this at about 9:40 a.m. and it's 70 degrees in Youngstown. Dew points are up there. They're in the 60s, so it's a warm air mass. It's a humid air mass. You step outside today, and it definitely feels like the middle of summer once again. And we do have some shower and thunderstorm activity out here to our west, non-severe, thankfully, but that is associated with the cold front and the system that's marching our way later on today and into tonight, and this extends down into parts of the deep south and into the southern plains. There's a severe thunderstorm watch in the hill country of Texas this morning. All right, but we want to focus, of course, on northeast Ohio and into western parts of Pennsylvania. First things first, Storm Prediction Center does have what we call a slight risk of severe weather later on today. That's the yellow area, and that extends, it actually covers just about all of Ohio and stops pretty close to the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. As far as the chances of types of severe weather go, the tornado risk today is higher than an average spring or summer day. It's these percentages are still low. Your chances of seeing a tornado are still extremely low today, but the risk is elevated enough that we want to talk about it. The green area, that's a 2 to 5% chance. The yellowish area here, 5 to 15%. And what those percentages mean, that means you have a 5% or a 2% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile radius of any point. You can pick a point on the map, and within 25 miles of that point, there is a certain percentage chance of seeing a tornado. So the tornado risk is higher to our west, including southeast Michigan, much of central and western Ohio, and then the risk does get lower as you get closer to Youngstown. As far as large hail, the green area here, which covers most of the region, this is a 5 to 15% chance of large hail within 25 miles of any location. And then wind damage, similar to the tornado threats as far as the coverage area, 15 to 30% chance in the yellow, the kind of brighter yellow here. So all in all, it's a day that we need to pay attention to the weather, be weather aware as we get into the late afternoon and the evening today. All right, so let's talk about the timing of things here. I think the threat for severe weather is mostly this evening. I'm going to show you the high resolution rapid refresh model here. This is our highest resolution short range model. Show you the simulated radars here. Let's skip ahead a few hours to noon. Still expecting things to be quiet across our area. At this point, zooming out, things are definitely starting to ramp up a little bit as the heat and humidity builds and our cold front marches east, so Illinois and Indiana getting busy around midday today. By 3 p.m., starting to see more than likely some clusters of thunderstorms breaking out in Kentucky, southern Ohio, western Ohio. Any of these could be pretty strong, I think, by mid-afternoon. We could start to see some almost supercell structures in a few of these by mid-afternoon. Dayton, Lima, heading up towards Fort Wayne, Muncie, Indiana, places like that. But locally, again, things are still quiet mid-afternoon. So we go towards evening. Here's 6 p.m. And this is when our threat will start to increase, I think. As everything continues marching east, we're going to start to see the chances for thunderstorms increasing by 6 and the chances for severe weather increasing with those thunderstorms as well. So here's 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Kind of looks like this. Showers, thunderstorms. Possibility of any of these storms getting on the strong side with perhaps some damaging winds, small chance of hail, small chance of isolated tornadoes, but a chance nonetheless. Here at 8 p.m., the main thrust of heavy storms may be starting to push east. This might be a little fast on the high-resolution rapid refresh. The reason I say that is, here's the high-resolution NAM model, North American model. And by 8 p.m., it still has the activity to the west of Youngstown. So notice the difference there between the HRRR, let's bring up the latest HRRR at 8 p.m. right here, and here's the NAM at 8 p.m. That's a pretty big difference. So because of some of the difference in our higher resolution models here, we're going to kind of give you a 6 to 10 p.m. window as far as the threat for severe weather later on today. Kind of some of the geekier stuff here, but some of the stuff we look at when we're trying to assess the possibility of severe weather. If you've watched my videos and followed me on social media before, I reference CAPE a lot in thunderstorm situations, convective available potential energy, a measure of how unstable the atmosphere is. The NAM model here, which sometimes overdoes the CAPE, has about 1,500 joules of CAPE. Sometimes that's a little overdone on that model. The HRRR has quite a bit less. Let's bring up the latest HRRR. Its CAPE values are quite a bit less. So, we're kind of, going to kind of split the difference, I think. There's going to be a moderate amount of instability around, I think. Wind shear is something else we look at, particularly when we're trying to forecast damaging winds and or tornadoes. Let's look at the NAM. The wind will be switching directions somewhat as you go up in the atmosphere. It'll be increasing its speed. Both of those things are wind shear and can lead to more instability and more rotation in thunderstorms. So some of this deeper blue here at 6 p.m. across central Ohio, that's pretty good shear out there. One thing we'll be keeping an eye on is something we call the low-level jet, a river of fast winds at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet above our heads. Here's 6 o'clock this evening, pretty strong low-level jet in western Ohio, feeding the storms, feeding the instability as well. And the faster those winds are blowing up at about 5,000 feet, the more turning there can be, rotation possibly in the atmosphere. So that's something to keep an eye on. By 9 p.m., that low-level jet will be just about over us, weakening some, but just about over us. So these are some of the things we're going to be watching out for. Bottom line for you, roughly 6 to 10 for our severe weather possibility, our window this evening. I'll, of course, have updates throughout the rest of the day on Twitter and on Facebook. Twitter's much better for severe weather updates. Facebook, of course, filters out some of our stuff. Jess will have an update for you at midday today. And of course, we'll have you covered on TV tonight. I'll be on at 6 o'clock and 11, and we might do some streaming coverage on WFMJ.com if the situation warrants. So we've got you covered, full updates throughout the day. Stay safe, stay weather aware later on today, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.